Welcome back to the Matt Return. I'm Evan Smith.
I'm Andrew Deal.
And I'm AJ Piazza.
And last weekend, a ton of Nittany Lions competed at the U.S. Open Championships. Now, thanks to Flow Wrestling's awesome rules, only one of us was allowed to watch it, and most of the time that went to Andrew Deal. So with that said, AJ, who stood out for you the most this weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to have to say PJ Duke, one of Penn State's highest commits in this coming class. He defeated Oklahoma State commit Landon Robideau in the semifinals, and he really showed why he's one of those top commits that Penn State is going to be getting for next season, and even, maybe could compete with someone. We'll see. Probably not, but we'll see. He ended winning the 70 kilograms for U20 by defeating Melvin Miller, who that's a matchup we can see when both of them get in college for quite a long time. So I'd have to say PJ Duke really impressed me.
Yeah, and I'm going to go down, or I'm going to actually go up in the weight classes.
Nice.
To 79 kilograms, William Henkel. And his performances really showed me that I think he's the under-the-radar guy in this recruiting class. Like, you have the top guys of Marcus Blaze and PJ Duke. Henkel is right there in the recruiting, and he showed this over the weekend. He won the 79-kilogram tournament, or the bracket, by defeating Brock Mantanona from Michigan. So we could see that at some point down the line maybe, because it's U20, so Mantanona is going to have many years in front of him still at Michigan, and William Henkel coming in. It'll be interesting to see that, but he rolled his way through 4 tech falls and a pinfall, and then beat Mantanona 12-8. So his performance was really impressive.
All right, next up, I'm just going to kind of go through a couple names, and I think Andrew's going to lead the discussion since, Flow Wrestling only let him watch. I'm joking. Flow Wrestling, please sponsor us. But we'll start off with the Mirasolos. They both were extremely impressive in these U20 brackets.
Yeah, both of them took down Oklahoma State, an Oklahoma State wrestler or a commit. Connor Mirasola in the finals faced off with Oklahoma State's Cody Merrill, who is there right now. It was pure domination throughout the bracket. It was a later bracket, not as many wrestlers, and he defeated Merrill 5-1 after tallying double digits in every one of his matches. So showcased his defense by not allowing Merrill to score much at all, and then down to Cole Mirasola, the heavyweight. Some people are saying that he's not proven yet, but I think he showed it here. Obviously, it's a different style of wrestling, but he showed it here, defeating he defeated an Iowa commit, Michael Mako, 9-6 in the semifinals. Mako was the top seed in the tournament, and Mirasola was the 4 seed. And it set up a matchup with what could be a Penn State-Oklahoma State battle again. Mirasola against Drayshawn Ross, who's one of the highest commits in his class. And Mirasola took him down 7-5. So impressive stuff from the Mirasola twins as maybe they get unleashed this year.
Yeah, I just want to add on to specifically Cole Mirasola. You kind of mentioned this, but a lot of people have suggested that Penn State in the transfer portal maybe get a heavyweight. And, just because Mirasola is unproven now, obviously still young and has a lot of wrestling left. But for this, Andrew, we and you talked about this the other day, but he had to be at 275. Now, is that the max he had to be at?
He had to be under 275.
Okay, so my point with this is he kind of looked a little small compared to some of those other heavyweights that he wrestled during the collegiate season.
Yeah.
And for him to win this weight class at the U.S. Open is impressive and should give fans hope that it's unlikely Penn State's going to get anyone else in the transfer portal. So Mirasola is probably the guy I'd pick to start at heavyweight. But this should give them some positive vibes going into next year.
Yeah.
Speaking of positive vibes, one of the guys I want to talk about really surprised me. Sam Herring's a guy that we've talked to a lot down at Bishop McCourt. Fan of the content we provide.
Yeah.
But again, he really surprised us making it all the way to that 61-kilogram finals. Andrew, what did you see from him as he made it there?
Yeah, he looked really strong. interesting that he wrestled the same weight class as Nate Desmond, who is an incoming freshman. Herring is a class of 2026. He was the first class of 2026 guy to commit. And he looked really strong. He looked bigger than Desmond, and he is bigger than Desmond. Obviously, weight classes are a little different in this, what I guess you could say, international competition, even though it was all U.S. guys for now. He looked really strong. Took down, I can't find his name. Oh, Elijah Cortez, 3-1 in the semifinals, and then met up with Kyler Larkin. And even though I believe he started out on top, and then Larkin really picked it up later, and Herring ended up in second place. But still, a second place finish for a guy who's probably 17 years old. He probably could compete at U17. That's really impressive and something to keep an eye out.
What I do want to check on, it said Herring won his quarterfinal by disqualification?
Yeah, I didn't really know what happened. I just checked the bracket, and all of a sudden he moved on by DQ. So
Interesting. And I think for Herring, he's a guy with a lot to prove, especially over this next year, because if you look down at that Bishop McCourt roster, he's kind of viewed as the number 3 out of the Bo Bassett, Jax Forrest, and even including Melvin Miller in that discussion kind of guys. Going one last stop on this U20, U17 bracket is the newest Penn State commit, Jaden James.
yeah, he's just really good. I don't really know how else to put it. He's, I believe, the number 3 guy in the class, and he only sits behind Bo Bassett and Jax Forrest. So 2 guys that Bo Bassett, I believe, took 3rd in U20s, and Jax Forrest won his weight class in the senior level. So James being 3rd ranked, nothing to be worried about there that he's not even higher. It's 2 really good guys, but James looked really good at U17 and scored lots of points and ended up rolling through to the championship.
Before we move on to the senior level, just a bit of an intermission to talk about a now former Nittany Lion, David Evans, AJ. Where did he end up transferring to?
Utah Valley, and he follows Terrell Barraclaw, who transferred there last year. Won't be there next season, but David Evans was a guy that didn't get much time at Penn State, and honestly, when I looked at it, I didn't realize this is going to be his 5th year of wrestling, which I thought was very interesting.
It's like me taking a redshirt senior year.
But yeah, this move really allows him to start and get, the looks that he hasn't had. I wouldn't be surprised if Evans maybe ends up on the rankings, but in like a lower tier, maybe like the 28 range for next year. But he's someone that could definitely prove that he's a very good wrestler that just really hasn't had a chance yet.
Yeah, I remember when he went into the portal, a lot of the discussion on Twitter was, hey, this guy's probably going to be really underrated heading into next season. So the pros are for him, he gets to start in his new position. The cons are he's got to wear that god-awful green singlet that school wears.
I think they might be the only ones that wear it.
I can see why.
Even Michigan State, I think, typically wears white.
Yeah, they usually wear white.
It's not even like...
They have a black singlet, though, that I've seen.
Michigan State's green looks good. It's just, I remember the one Barraclaw was wearing at Nationals.
It's
was like bright
It was
green.
bright green.
It's like the color of the door handle back there. The light.
Oh,
Not the handle. I don't know why I said that. All right, on to the Unk Division, the senior level U.S. Open. We'll start it off with Luke Lillidahl, noted old man.
Yeah, not noted old man. Yeah, he looked really, really good. He outscored his opponents 40-4 and got redemption over Brendan McCrone of Ohio State, who pinned him during the dual season. Lillidahl went on to win 10-0 by tech fall in just 3 minutes.
Yeah. Honestly, for me, what stood out for this is Lillidahl said that he was the best wrestler going into the national championships last season, and this at 125, and this kind of shows that maybe next year is his year. Now, obviously, different styles of wrestling, but outscoring your opponents 40-4 isn't something that just everyone does. So that's really impressive.
And at the Final X tournament in June to qualify for the World's team, dream match in Luke Lillidahl versus Spencer Lee. It's going to be interesting to watch for many reasons. First off, it's just probably going to be a really good match.
Yeah.
See where Luke Little stacks up against multiple-time national champion, if I'm not mistaken there.
Yeah, he was a 3-time national champion, lost in his 4th year, I believe.
And also, you can get some other comparison to Luke Little and Masa Ono based on the result against what will be a similar opponent. We're just going to go up in order here. Marcus Blaze.
Yeah, a guy that could wrestle at U20 chose to go up and actually looked really good. Ended up falling to Seth Gross in the semifinals. He got pinned at the 6-minute mark, but Gross ended up losing to Jax Forrest, so a guy that's really good in competition and showed that he's able to respond, kind of showed the same thing that a lot of the Penn State wrestlers did in the national championships. After they lost, just dominated. He won 10-0 and 7-0 to get 3rd place.
Yeah, Marcus Blaze, you said this is the ONC division. As you just mentioned, though, Marcus Blaze could have wrestled in the U20, and for a guy that hasn't even wrestled in college yet, but he's, looked at as one of those generational prospects, this just backs that up.
And the one thing that really stood out for me with Blaze is he got asked, why did you choose to go to senior level? He goes, yeah, I could have gone to U20 and won easily, but I'd rather take the opportunity to test himself against better competition, per se, get the chance to face some legends.
Sorry.
Potentially.
I almost had a malfunction moment there.
It's the hair, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like that's like that Penn State mentality that you want to just compete in the best room in the country. For him, in this case, compete against the best guys in the world, in the country, I guess you could say, for now.
Yeah, it's nice to see somebody trying to take an effort to compete with the big dogs, unlike the Pittsburgh Pirates on your shirt there.
All right, thanks.
It's a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But honestly, bad segue here, but speaking of a lot of pain, Bo Bartlett's tournament run ended all too familiarly.
You want to take this?
Yeah, I'll take this. One, the guy Marcus Blaze is most likely to take over for on Penn State.
Yeah.
Is Bo Bartlett.
Yep.
Yeah, so yet again, we see Jesse Mendez versus Bo Bartlett, and, it started out, I feel like this happens every time. Bo Bartlett, earlier, now this is going back to the, regular season of wrestling, beats him the first 2 times, and everyone's like, oh, maybe it's his year. Loses to him at the national championships and loses to him in this, but by a bit of a different score, 4-2 this time. But yeah, it's just constantly in the big moments, Bo Bartlett cannot defeat Jesse Mendez.
Yeah, and you mentioned Blaze potentially being the guy that replaces Bartlett. Blaze wrestled in 61 kilograms, which translates to a little over 134 pounds. So he's would probably essentially be making weight for 133. Is he going to be able to do that for the entire season? Don't really know that yet. But something to kind of think about is, are they going to really get Blaze on the Penn State nutrition and work up his weight to be more of a
Kale's secret sauce that they keep talking about?
Yeah, that secret sauce that'll jump him up to fit in with the 141 pounders. But that'll be something to remember whenever we get to the preseason.
Up at 74 kilograms, Messenbrink wins, lol. But honestly, a lot to talk about with his run there, especially that championship match was a bit cathartic.
Yeah, Messenbrink's lone loss in college throughout his 2 years is to David Carr, who was at Iowa State. And it was I almost kind of worded in a fluke. Obviously, it was the national championship, so, not a fluke, but I don't even know if fluke is the right word because, it was kind of a mental thing with Messenbrink. He thought he was tied in that instance, but Carr, I believe, had the riding time point, so he ended up losing.
Yep.
He gets his revenge here. 16-6 tech fall at 5:32. Messenbrink's the best in at least the country at his weight class.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a topic of discussion, especially with the amount of talent leaving the NCAA. I think Mr. Messenbrink is the best remaining pound-for-pound wrestler in the nation.
It would probably open up as the favorite for the Hodge, I'd assume.
And I don't really know who else could step up to the level that he steps up at.
Right.
Moving up one, we got our first taste of Rocco Welsh representing Penn State. Not officially, but essentially.
Yeah, not officially representing Penn State, but put out a good showing. Defeated his first two guys by tech fall, and then ended up losing to Parker Kekaisen of Northern Iowa, who everybody knows is a very good wrestler.
Yes.
Only lost it this past season was to Starachi in the finals. Lost to him 4-1, so wasn't even like a big margin. And then Walsh ended up falling again, and then took the fifth place match.
And our last guy to talk about, former Nittany Lion here, Kyle Snyder.
Yeah, so Snyder, I got them confused because Kyle Dake wrestles for the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. He was the one who ended up losing in surprising fashion. But Kyle Snyder, kind of in that Mitchell Messenbrink territory where you could say Kyle Snyder won, lol. Like, he's that good. He completely dominated. This was one of the only matches I watched fully through, mainly because it was kind of short. He won 11-0 in the championship. It was just outright domination.
All right, before we sign off, I'm going to surprise you two with a question that I don't think you guys are prepared for here.
Oh, boy.
But it's a discussion that we feel like we should have before we head out for this semester. The national duels are going to be the first big college wrestling event next year, and Penn State opted not to even really consider contending. If we're being honest, we listened to Kel talk. He just brushed it off the entire way. Why do you guys think Penn State is hesitant to join this, and what will this competition have to prove in order to get the Nittany Lions to start going on to it in later years?
Honestly, it didn't really surprise me. I just don't think it's something that Penn State really does. Like, I didn't expect them to go into it, and I'm not shocked that they didn't. I just think, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I just don't think it's necessary for Penn State to do necessarily. I think they look at it as just like another opportunity, but it's not necessarily what they need to do.
Yeah, I was kind of going to say something right along the lines of that.
So you're copying me. Okay.
It's something that Penn State doesn't really need. It's not going to necessarily benefit them too much to do the national duels, because the mindset we've seen throughout the entire season is, duels and records for the team, but they're focused on winning the national championship as a team, winning individual national championships. The national duels is not going to necessarily do that. Like, it's just going to give someone a crown that they won the national duels, where they can instead just be training in the wrestling room with some of the best guys in the world.
I will give the counter argument of that prize money, especially that $200,000 winning the first place prize that I think we all agree Penn State would probably be the heavy favorite to get every year, essentially. Sorry, Oklahoma State, please don't clip that.
But they're building something, though.
Yeah, they are building.
It's definitely going to be interesting in the next couple of years.
Especially with a lot of the reports out there that Penn State's running in the red financially, because college wrestling, no matter how big it looks, doesn't make that much money. That's enough money to fund the program itself almost for a year.
Yeah.
That's why I think depending on how this year's duels go, if it ends up living up to the hype, I think you see Penn State jump on that opportunity in the oncoming years.
Well, I will say, I'll kind of debunk. I don't even know if I can say that, but like that theory that Penn State's running in the red, because the AD, Pat Kraft, did say if Kale came to me saying he needs $100 million, he will go and get him $100 million. So I think there's that, where this leadership group really understands the teams that are having success, and they're putting the assets and the money in there to be able to get the right players.
I did think it's good for the sport of wrestling having this opportunity for these teams to earn more money, even though it doesn't go to the wrestlers themselves, but they can go to that good old real American freestyle wrestling and make money now. Hulk Hogan, it's going to destroy real wrestling now too. Great.
Just to add on to what Andrew said, I think for Kale, like having Pat Kraft, I think he's comfortable with him, as in it's not a necessity for them to do from a money perspective, at least right now. So I think that's kind of another reason why they really don't see it needed for them.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us here on the Mat Return. I'm Evan Smith.
I'm Andrew Deal.
I'm AJ Piazza.
Speeding off.